Breaking barriers, the Iranian women kayakers learning from the Americans. Rugby future, they're not quite the All Blacks, but find out how the game is reaching new frontiers. Plus, we speak to the man known as the godfather of Swedish golf. Welcome to Sports World, Al Jazeera's regular look at sport around the globe. I'm Rahul Pathak. Now, in a perfect world, sport would be completely free of politics. The Olympic ideal has always been about letting athletes compete on the fields of play without concern for the stances of their governments. Sadly, though, politics do tend to encroach on sport. But as one group of intrepid teenagers from Iran recently proved, sport can be simply about the exchange of experiences, skills and fun. Al Jazeera's Brendan Connor reports.
Whitewater or slalom, canoeing and kayaking. It's certainly not for the faint of heart. With tumultuous trips down a river full of rapids, it is not only something daring fun seekers do on vacations, but also it's an Olympic sport. First seen in Munich in 1972 and now a regular part of the Summer Games since 1992. American athletes are among those who have dominated this sport at the Olympics, and in recent years many nations' programs are on the rise. But it's not likely you would associate slalom canoe kayaking with Iran, and given the outdoor nature of this sport, with female athletes from Iran. That is a perception Katayun Ashraf wants to change. She's a former national team member and now a coach for the Iranian team. She wanted to set up a developmental program in slalom canoe kayaking to make Iranian women more competitive. So she figured where better to learn how to do that than in the United States.
My primary aim was to learn techniques from trainers who come from great programs.
Searching through the internet, Katayun found a few different international organizations, and she finally met up with U.S. trainer Chris Wiegand. Together, they overcame the many hurdles, diplomatic, cultural, and financial, to set up this trip for her 3 teenage protégés. They traveled a long way to train in places like Boulder, Colorado, Charlotte, North Carolina, and at a special training facility outside Washington, D.C., all to be exposed to high-caliber athletes and to face many new challenges on the Whitewater Rapids. Challenges that Shodi, Roxana, and Camilla were not expecting from the start of their training.
The first day at Boulder, we looked at the rapids and the large water drops with wonder and fear. Then the trainer said, "Get into the water." We were like, "You want us to do what? Go into the water?"
But that was Katayun's idea for these girls, to have them test themselves by learning and gaining confidence in a sport that is tough to master. With the help of American trainer and 2-time Olympic medal winner Dana Schladek, the girls were put through their paces on the Potomac River outside Washington. There were cultural issues to deal with, like the Islamic Republic's dress code. Special wetsuits to cover the girls' bodies were provided by sponsors, along with other much-needed equipment, like helmets that could double as a hijab. And from the start, there were training issues as well.
I expected them to have 1 to 2 years of experience, and realizing that they did not, how do I personally, by myself, make these 3 girls capable in a month-and-a-half time of those are 1 or 2 years of experience?
But slowly, enduring many frustrating and challenging attempts, these girls defied their fears.
I have learned to take on the rapids on my own, without having to count on anyone. Back home, when going down rapids, I always had help. I have to train. I have to learn what they have to teach.
And they eventually won over their coaches as well.
They're very enthusiastic. They're one of the more enthusiastic of the bunch. They seem to really want to get good in kayaking. These girls seem to have a real desire to improve and to move forward in the sport.
The Iranian girls improved to the point that they were invited to the U.S. National Whitewater Slalom Championships, where they competed against some of the best kayakers and surprised more than a few onlookers.
So the Iranian paddlers did enjoy their time here in the United States, and the cultural and personal experience it became will be one for a lifetime. They also acquired some much-needed expertise and confidence in their chosen sport. The trip was deemed a huge success and everyone, it seemed, benefited. But all is not simple when it comes to relations between Iran and the United States, and when the girls returned home, there were ramifications.
One national newspaper story in Iran says Katayun and the young paddlers faced a hostile reception by members of the Iranian Canoe and Kayak Federation. And even with possible sanctions hanging over her and her young team, Katayun still believes this was a good idea all around.
The help we've gotten from the Americans, either kayakers or regular people, has been quite overwhelming. They love to share their knowledge. I really enjoyed this aspect. I learned that the American people can be friends with the Iranian people, and Iranian people likewise to the Americans.
Politics aside, it remains to be seen if this relationship, this exchange, this acquisition of skills and confidence will lead these young women to realize their dreams, to become Olympians, and to compete for their country. Brendan Connor, Al Jazeera, Washington.